Alright everybody, welcome to the video. We're not going to have a gameplay video today, but what we're going to do is just look at some of the spoilers that have came out this past week from Guilds of Ravnica, and I've got to say, I think that this set is going to be sweet. But in this video, I actually want to talk about one of the cards that got more attention than I would say any of the Guilds of Ravnica cards, and that is Goblin Chainwhirler. That's right, our little whirler boy from Dominaria has kind of been the subject of a lot of talk, specifically with two cards that we're showing on the screen here, with Swiftblade Vindicator and March of the Multitudes. Everybody's kind of talking about, oh, you know, Sylesnia is unplayable because of Goblin Chainwhirler. This Vindicator is unplayable because of Goblin Chainwhirler. You know, Chainwhirler is just going to be the boogeyman of the new format. And I'm going to say something a little bit controversial here, but I actually don't think that Chainwhirler is going to be as big of a player in this new standard format as it is in our current standard now. And I know that's a little bit controversial, I know that's a little bit crazy, but hear me out, stick with me. I want to kind of go over my point here. So just in talking about Goblin Chainwhirler, it is going to be a good card, and it's going to be something that these Sylesnia tokens have to play around. But I think that it's going to be more of a how can you maneuver and navigate the game where Goblin Chainwhirler is just good against you and not a blowout, as opposed to making Sylesnia and tokens decks unplayable. Now, I say this because we have to understand Goblin Chainwhirler within the context of its decks, and we're going to jump over to MTG Goldfish to look at the deck that took first place at GP Richmond to kind of highlight this point here. So this is a red-black Chainwhirler deck, but if you look at Chainwhirler, it was designed to be a payoff for playing mono red. Like, that's actually all of the three color cards in Dominaria are for. It's saying, okay, designers want to pay you off for going single color, and when you look at red, you have all of the payoffs that are there at almost every point in the curve, at the 1-drop slot, 2-drop slot, 3-drop slot, and even the 4 and 5-drop slot. So in your 1-drop slot, you have Bomat Carrier, then you go Kari Zeb, then you go Scrounger, then you go Pia, then Hazaret, then Rekindling Phoenix, and Glorybringer. And the reason why I mention all of those cards is because the thing with Chainwhirler is that the red decks never gave you a chance to really come back from a Chainwhirler hit. Because if you think about it, let's say you go turn 3 Goblin Chainwhirler. Well, if you killed the Goblin Chainwhirler, what was going to come down next? It was going to be a Hazaret, or it was going to be a Chandra. So Chainwhirler got its value, and then you were just completely pounded by the next point in the curve. But if you look at this rotation, look at all of the cards that are going out of this deck. There are only 3 cards that are staying in New Standard in this deck, and that's the Chainwhirler, the Rekindling Phoenix, and actually just the Drogskull Summit. So, I mean, you've got 2 creatures that are still going to be in the deck. And so now the golden question is, what's going to be the payoff for playing mono red, and where is Goblin Chainwhirler going to fit going forward? And I actually think that it's going to fit in a style of deck like this mono red Flame of the Kell deck. In Arena, I've been seeing a couple people brewing around with the Goblin decks, and they're interesting. Like, they can have some explosive curves, they can be aggressive, but they're not nearly as resilient as the decks that you have going on. And a lot of times when they play their Goblin Chainwhirler, their follow-up is a Goblin Trashmaster, which is still good, it's still fine, but I mean, you play one removal spell on the Chainwhirler, and you've kind of restabilized the board here. So going forward, I think that this is going to be more of the build that you see of Goblin Chainwhirler. Still powerful, still good. I mean, if you get the Chainwhirler down whenever the Flame of the Kell ults, like, you're still going to be in a good time. It's still going to be not a good time for you, and the red deck's going to have a good time, but not nearly as backbreaking as following up with a Chandra or a Hazaret. And to even highlight this point further, I just want to look at the most commonly played creatures in Standard. And to no one's surprise, it's all the stuff that's in the red-based aggro decks. You've got Chainwhirler, Courier, Scrounger, Phoenix, Siphoner, Hazaret, Soulscar Mage, Walking Ballista, Glorybringer, and Kari Zev. But out of all of these cards, only 2 cards are staying on this list, and that's Rekindling Phoenix and Goblin Chainwhirler. So Chainwhirler is going to be losing a lot of its support, and whenever you look inside of Guilds of Ravnica, which we're going to pop back over to the Guilds of Ravnica spoilers real quick, I mean, you've got Legion War Boss, which is a pretty good red card, still in the 3-drop spot, so that's going to make it not nearly as smooth, but I'm just not really seeing where you're going to be under as much pressure under the red decks currently. Now, this could change with spoilers, but I just kind of wanted to go over Chainwhirler and talk about kind of its role inside of the new format. I still think it's going to be good. I still think it's going to be a player inside of these mono red decks, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as back-breaking moving forward. So whenever you're looking at the Sylesnia tokens decks, it's going to be more or less how can you navigate the game where it's not a complete blowout. And things like March of the Multitudes are great. Go ahead and scroll up to Tristani Discordant. Think that's a great card as well. Get Anthems out your creatures, survives a Chainwhirler. Also, we're going to scroll on down to the old, this guy here, Venerated Loxodon. I actually played against a guy who was proxying this at our FNM, and Venerated Loxodon did a lot of work. I mean, he was actually stuck on 2 mana and was still able to keep pace with the Sultai Muldrotha deck that we were running in Arena. So things like Loxodon, things like Tristani, all of these things I think are going to be great ways to mitigate Goblin Chainwhirler going forward. So all of that to say, I just wanted all of the tokens players to know that you're still going to have to build with Chainwhirler in mind, and you're going to have to build all of your decks with Chainwhirler in mind, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as backbreaking as you might think. But hey, that's just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about Chainwhirler moving forward. Let me know what y'all think is some of the coolest cards that have came out in Guilds of Ravnica and what decks you're looking at brewing. So thanks for watching, and we will see you next video. Thanks.